I noticed that I'm drawn to trying out game series that are dead. That sounds super weird, but when trying out new games, finding out that a series hasn't had an entry in a long time intrigues me and pushes me to want to try them out. I don't know how common this is, but coming across a series that has been gone for a long time and finding out the games are amazing makes me feel like I've stumbled upon gold. It makes me feel like I've experienced something that not many other people have, and that's exciting, especially if it's an older series, because the modern conversation on games will almost never be about them. The most obvious example for me was Klonoa. Never really heard of the series much, but it was always on my list of games to try out. That first game was so amazing to me that it's my second favorite game ever, so finding this series that was completely new to me was awesome. But we haven't seen a new entry since 2008, which was a remake of that first game, and the series has kind of been dead ever since. There is a multitude of reasons a series might have come to an end, but I feel that it's rare for a series to end with a proper resolution. Game series seem to just keep going for as long as it's profitable, so there aren't many series that come to mind that ended appropriately. Because of this, it's always really interesting to dive into the details of why a series hasn't seen anything new, especially when the series in question is of high quality. But it's even more heartbreaking when this is the case. A series of high quality games that hasn't been touched in years feels like wasted potential, which is another reason why I'm drawn to playing these games. I want to share them with people who likely haven't heard of them, and hopefully create some new fans of these forgotten franchises. It's really heartwarming seeing a lively community form around a series that hasn't seen any content in a long time, so given I have this platform to spread my opinions with people, I love spreading awareness of games that deserve some more love, that deserve a second chance. A second chance to not only have people playing it again, but possibly advocating for a new game in the series. Fan outcry is about the only thing we can do to affect our chances of getting a new installment in a franchise, so getting more people aware and passionate about a forgotten series will help its chances of seeing a new release. Of course, this doesn't happen often. It's pretty rare for a series to return based on how much the fans want it alone. But in those rare instances it does happen, it's the most exciting thing in the world. For me, this hasn't happened for any of my favorite franchises that are dead, except Crash Bandicoot. After years of corporate bullshit turning Crash into something he wasn't, he just kinda dropped off the face of the planet for years, until the Insane Trilogy was announced, and that was incredible. I was hyped for the remakes, I couldn't wait to get my hands on it. Now, I like Crash, I like his games quite a bit. I play his games, have fun, and that's about it. I'm not super passionate about the series like I am with others. And because I'm not that much of a Crash fan, I didn't care too much for the Team Racing remake, and when Crash 4 was announced, I was happy, but I wouldn't say I was excited. It was great to see some new content coming from the series, but it wasn't something I was in need of. But that's just me though. I can't imagine how hyped the Crash fanbase was when Crash 4 was released. This is the core fanbase, the passionate fans of this previously dead series getting something truly new, and that is so incredible. Likewise, I can't imagine how up the wall I would be if a new Jak and Daxter game were to be announced. I would lose my goddamn mind in excitement. And that's what I like about dead series. It's certainly not a guarantee that a series will return from the grave, but if they ever did, it would be the best thing ever. I guess this comes down to what kind of person you are. Personally, I like to think I'm an optimistic person. My favorite games may not have had any releases in over a decade, but I'm hopeful that maybe one day we'll get something new, anything. And if that day ever comes, it'll be incredibly exciting for everyone who loves that series. The whole community, bound by their love of a franchise, will collectively celebrate the return of a great. It's something to potentially look forward to, as depressing as it feels sometimes. Now, to extend the length of this video, let's quickly talk about some other franchises that are dead, and talk about why and how they can come back. I already talked about Crash, but Spyro is in essentially the same boat, except he hasn't had any new content outside the remakes, which were excellent. All he really needs is a fourth game like Crash. I'm sure there's a capable studio who could handle it really well. The next two I'm only going to talk about briefly because I haven't played all the games in their series. As far as I can tell, Gravity Rush only has 2 games, the second coming out in 2017, and the fans would love a third one. But Team Gravity have been disbanded, so a new game is pretty unlikely, which is a shame. I haven't played the second one yet, but I am eager to. Also, as far as I can tell, the Max Payne series ended with a good ending. The last game came out in 2012. I haven't played 2 or 3 yet, but from what I've heard, it seems there really isn't a need for a Max Payne 4. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but please no spoilers. I think a remake of 1 and maybe 2 would be wicked. The first game is pretty clunky to play sometimes, and it has very clearly aged, but it's still a ton of fun to play. I just wish they ported 2 to PS4 like they did with the first game. Resistance is a series that I liked quite a bit, but I don't see coming back. Insomniac Games said they're done with the series after the third game, which came out in 2011, and it's not like it was a massively popular series at the time. It mostly just filled that spot for a Sony exclusive FPS alongside Killzone, which also hasn't seen anything new in a while and doesn't seem to be getting anything new. I'd say maybe just a HD collection for Resistance, that would be pretty cool. Infamous was a terrific series that really needs to come back in some form. The last game came out in 2014 as a PS4 launch title. The first game is quite dated and runs pretty terribly on the PS3, so I think a HD remaster of 1 and 2 would be amazing. Just make them run better on modern hardware. But on the other hand, there aren't really any games like Infamous being made at the moment. Infamous was a series that was very gamey and very creative, so a new game would be awesome too, but Sucker Punch has hit it big time with Ghost of Tsushima, so I don't think they'll be revisiting the series anytime soon, which is a shame. American McGee's Alice actually has a third game in the works, but at the moment, the devs are working on a pitch to show publishers to try and get the funding to make the game, and while it seems possible, it doesn't seem very likely, which is a shame because Madness Returns, which came out in 2011, was a terrific game. The Sly Cooper series actually has a really satisfying conclusion on the PS2, and we didn't really need a fourth game, but we got one anyway in 2013, which was really divisive and ended on a cliffhanger. So that kinda really sucks. I'm not really sure where to go with this one, cause a ton of fans didn't like Sly 4's story at all, so do we even bother trying to continue it? Personally, I found the game super fun, but I can definitely see how fans weren't happy with it. I don't think I'm informed enough about this series to make a judgment to whether or not it should continue, or how. It's a bit of a tricky one. The Darkness were some excellent shooters based on the comic series. Only 2 games were made, the second coming out in 2012, with plans for a third one being cancelled, which really sucks. Both games had different developers, so they were very different games from each other, but considering the second game ended on a cliffhanger, I think a third game is pretty needed. Let's get a remaster of that first game though. It is super clunky to play on console and it never got a PC release. Dark Cloud's last game was in 2002, and it did have a third game in development, but that ended up turning into Rogue Galaxy. I've played it a bit, but I haven't finished it, but from what I have played, I don't think I could count it as a worthy successor to the Dark Cloud series. I would love a third game, but I really just don't see it happening. Klonoa has never really gotten the mainstream attention and love it so rightfully deserved. Each game is of such high quality, and it just never sold very well. There are some rumors of a release called Klonoa Encore, which might be a port or a remake, but it's all speculation at the moment. Just a port of the original 2 PlayStation games on modern hardware would be enough for me, but a true Klonoa 3 in the same quality as 1 and 2 would be the absolute dream, but who knows if that will ever happen. So after I wrote this script, Bandai Namco on Twitter kinda did like a poll of whether or not we want to see more Klonoa, and it seems kinda hopeful we might be getting something new, which is super fucking exciting, but like, I don't know what it is. It might be just a port or like a new game, or I don't know. I'm really excited. I really hope this goes somewhere awesome, but like, who knows? I'm excited. And finally, of course I have to talk about Jak and Daxter. The series had its last entry in 2009, but the last proper release was in 2004, and fans have been clamoring for a Jak 4 ever since. Naughty Dog just haven't been making these sorts of games anymore, so it's unlikely they'll return to the series anytime soon, as much as they apparently want to. At this point, there are so many ways we can approach a return for this series. A Jak 4 that continues from the original trilogy, a complete trilogy remake, a reboot starting the whole series over again. There's a lot of different things that can be done with this series, and while I do have my preferences, I'll take absolutely anything new. I love this series so much, it's my all-time favorite, and I've been waiting a long ass time for something new, so if that day ever comes, I will be over the fucking moon. Thanks for watching the video everyone. Let me know what you think and what some of your favourite games are that are in need of a comeback. I'd love to hear your responses. If I could just give a quick update, things haven't been going too well for me since I was forced to move back to my parents' house. Video making has been pretty stagnant and I've been just feeling super down. I had fun working on this video, but it took me a long ass time to get it done. I just had no motivation for a really long time. The names you're seeing on screen right now are my lovely patrons who have been supporting me during this hard time. If you'd like to support my content and get access to some exclusive videos and updates, as well as your name in the credits of all of my videos, you can go to patreon.com/PowercellZeke. I would really appreciate the support. That's all for now. I hope to have another video up sometime soon. Your support really does mean the world to me. Bye guys.